Hi, here we go. So, on Altai range, starting on the US team but switching to the Chinese team, because I actually want to show you how much it matters to have different types of jets. So the F-35 is the best in terms of survivability, maneuverability. J-20 is the best for sight picture when you're in the cockpit looking around. There's no support struts or anything. You can just see straight through the clear glass. In this video we're going to look at basically how to help your team and survive when you're outnumbered and there's not really a lot of cover. So just straight off the bat here you can see the anti-aircraft tank trying to hit me. I'm a little bit too far away for him to track me properly, which is good. I noticed he shifted his focus for a sec, but unfortunately he got back on me pretty quickly. There's little beeps there. It could be passive radar, could be heat seeker. I'm guessing based on the ability of this AA, he's probably using passives. I was going for a laser fake out there, but he was dispatched by our team pretty quickly. So right now, just looking around the flags, just going to take out this helicopter before it can take off, just to put it on cooldown so teammates don't get shredded. And just there I spot the second AA. So it can be pretty hard to survive in the J-20 and the Su-50, the Chinese and Russian stealth jets, because their profile is so much larger. So right now you can see I'm looking at him through the side of my cockpit. So I'm basically keeping the slimmest profile visible to him, because I don't want him to get a good shot on me. If I show him my broadside, it's very easy to hit. What I was trying to do there was go for that gadget and then swap to the AA, but now I'm just going to try a good old-fashioned laser fake out. I notice he only has smoke screen, so I'm going to commit to it here. And now I pop my ECM preemptively to, first of all, get off the radar of that jet that's in the air and avoid any lock-ons. And here there's actually two jets coming for me, which isn't good, so I'm just going to do a bit of a switch here, try and keep this one jet preoccupied and keep my eye on that other jet on the radar. I don't want him getting some distance and then coming back for me. So in a 2v1, that's typically how you win. In a 2v1 is if you're on the side that has the two jets and you're just trying to kill one jet, one of you keeps them busy in maneuvers going through loops, and the other one goes for distance and comes back every so often, strafes them and flies off again. Because you don't really want to stack up in a tight formation, because there's a very high chance that you'll collide with your friendly jet. So here I'm trying to find ways to help the team. I have been having a bit of issue lately because, or in the match so far, because the AAs are sort of surprising me. They're in positions I don't expect and they're reasonably good at tracking. So just there I took a few hits and I can see the tracer rounds from the AA and I spot him with my rear cam. I'm just going to keep my eye on him for now. I'm going to go take care of this helicopter. So my plan is here, I can see the AA is trying to hit me, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip under this mountain or just get some range, just obscure his line of sight, give him the tiniest profile possible of my jet, so, trying not to give him my broadside very often, trying to, just there I corrected, I rolled back because I can see he's still shooting at me, and he can't really hit me right now because my profile is the slimmest it will ever be. Relative to his perspective. I'm going to try and help the team again here, try and take out this AA mine. Unfortunately, don't get the kill on the soldier standing right next to it, but do manage to finish him off with the cannon. What I'm sort of doing by accident is keeping their AA preoccupied on me, so hopefully any other helicopters or jets don't have to feel so much pressure. I did try to laser fake out there, but unfortunately I couldn't switch targets in time. But I did still get a hit on the LAV. I see the enemy jet coming for me. I pop my ECM preemptively because of the lock-ons. What that does in terms of decision making is it basically gets me to be a bit more wary while I'm sitting this close to the enemy AA and on this side of the map. I don't want to be sticking around here too long. So if I were to be locked on again after I've just used my ECMs, I would just run. I wouldn't stick around. So this next jet comes for me. He's doing okay. It was a pretty good confrontation off the bat, and he's doing alright with his turns, but again he decides to run for cover, and This is pretty risky here. I actually got very close to the enemy's base AA and their AA tank, and I wasn't sure if the AA tank was alive or not at the time. With the Chinese and the Russian stealth jets, because of their much greater profile, the base AA can not only hit you with greater accuracy, but it can also hit you from further away, nearly twice as far as the F-35, and it can kill you very, very quickly. So that's something to keep in mind if you're ever being chased by a stealth jet that's on the Chinese or the Russian teams, is just turn around and spot them and fly over your base AA. The base AA will only target them if they're spotted. If they're not spotted, it won't target them. Just there, that little motorbike was actually quite nimble. He managed to waste $2 million worth of ordnance, but I'm going to double down or triple down and try and finish the job here. He does have a warning that I'm locking him, but he thinks he can get to safety in time. Unfortunately for him, that's not the case. So there's a nice little double kill there. Points are a little bit hard to come by right now, because that AA is really keeping me zoned out of the game. You know, not letting me anywhere near the battlefield. He's doing a very good job helping his team to prevent me from causing any pressure. So here I am. I'm showing him the slimmest part of my profile again. Don't really want to get locked onto, so I'm keeping my distance. I'm going to try to go for that motorbike again, just to keep the points per minute up. Also, it helps prevent the back capping, so I can stop the enemy jets from getting behind our, behind the front line and capping our flags, and I can stop the fast little motorbikes from driving all the way around to the back and back capping us as well. That's really the most I can do at this point. In terms of dealing with the AA, it's really just going to be waiting for him to get cocky, fall out of position, get pushed by our tanks or infantry, and then capitalize when the situation is ideal. So when he's preoccupied, his APS is down, not ready for it. But until then, I'm just going to keep picking off these little motorbikes. I'm going to do a laser fake out here, put some pressure on the LAV, pop my ECM straight away, but commit to this kill here. That was mainly just because the armor can have a big impact on the outcome of the game. So if the armor is moving with the infantry, like that LAV was just there, it's better just to get rid of the armor. It's less cover for the infantry, less fire power in general. So more chance that your team can push back. Because right now we're on the back foot. The game is still relatively even, but we're not, in a decided position of strength yet. The map is still divided. So I'm going to come back through, look around for some infantry. I'm going to try, this is a contested flag here, the D flag. It's between the two teams. So what I was trying to do there was spot some infantry for the guys on the ground on my team to be able to see where the enemy troops are. Just help them out. And the way you do that is with the laser guided cam. Like I mentioned in the last video, it's very, very capable of spotting infantry at long range, and it's actually better at spotting at distance than the first person view. And just there I did a pretty slow but effective laser fake out. Basically lased both those tanks, just trying to put some pressure on them, and you'll see throughout this game they're actually quite a big issue for the team because they stick together, they work together, which multiplies their force quite a lot. I can't divide them at any point, so I can't really do anything about them. Right here, I've taken an active radar and I used my ECM, and I give up on the dogfight. I actually run, and this is what I was talking about last game, fighting on your own terms. So I don't want to be fighting this enemy jet over his AA. I actually pull him away from the safety of his AA because he tried to pull me towards it. Now on the radar, you can see the second jet's coming for me. So these guys are looking to work together here. You'll see later on in the game they actually do pull off quite an impressive team play maneuver against me. But before that, I'm just going to show you a bit more pressure on these LAVs. So just switching between the targets, just going to pop their APS, see how they back up into each other. They're a little bit passive, a little bit worried. That's what I want. I want to slow down their progression through the battlefield, scare them a little bit. Just harassing them, dropping rockets on their head, forcing them to get out and repair. It slows down the rate at which they move up the field. Unfortunately for me, the team is very scattered. my team. They're quite scattered. They're not they're not putting tanks side by side like these guys are in a convoy. They're not multiplying their force at all, so it's quite difficult for them to have any meaningful impact against the column of enemy tanks. But where the tanks are now, they're in their most vulnerable position because our infantry is all over that hilltop, so it's quite likely a few of them will have RPGs shooting down on those LAVs. So I'm just going to put some damage on there, just do my best to help out those infantry and possibly securing a kill. Took an active radar from the AA, so I'm just going to get some distance again, wait for my ECM, have a look around on the cams. I noticed there's actually a few guys around those LAVs, so they're being pretty clever. They're swapping and they're working together to repair, helping each other out. And most importantly, the tanks are sticking together, and the tank crews as well. They're actually not really affecting the state of play very much, except for the fact that they're zoning our team off a flag. But they're not really making moves towards our flag. They're just sort of holding the area. Here, they've clearly had enough of my shenanigans. They're trying to take me out, and what you have to keep in mind with the Chinese and Russian jets is, the stealth jets, is their profile's really quite large, so you actually do have to be a little bit wary of those secondary gunner turrets on those tanks. They actually can do a considerable amount of damage to you. That's why I didn't stick around too long in that low swoop. Here I noticed I killed one of the guys who got out to repair, so that's a very vulnerable time for that LAV. And it's a great time to drop some extra damage on his head, so if any infantry in the area manage to get another rocket off, that can really put them in a lot of strife. So I'm just going to try and keep the pressure up on him there. Just going to try and spot him up for the team, waiting for my laser guided missile to reload. I actually lose sight of him here. I'm not really sure where he went, but I don't have time to figure it out because the enemy jet's on my 6. I did see him on the radar, but I was a little bit focused on the ground. So here both jets are actually on me, and this is where it requires a little bit more skill. It's a pretty close situation there. I took an active radar which immobilized me, so I rolled 180 degrees to the right to get upside down, and then pitched down, which allowed me to maneuver away from the ground, which I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. And just there, that enemy stealth jet did launch some passives at me and was trying to passive radar glitch me, but didn't succeed. Here you can see him flying away from the battle. He wants to draw me towards his AA. I'm not going to fall for that. He stacks it, and I survive and prevail. What the most important thing about helping your team, really in the jet, is just staying alive, becoming a nuisance for the enemy team. If they're on the ground, all huddling around a tank, looking up at me in the sky trying to shoot me from 500, 600 meters away, that means they're not shooting the infantry right next to them, they're not shooting the tanks right next to them. And if you can't really do anything in terms of, damage because of the AA keeping you far away from the game, you can at least be a nuisance and distract the enemy team. Here I'm going to try and put some damage onto that helicopter. He's flying in a pretty predictable fashion, so get some good hits there. Those LAVs are stacked up again, but they're not really affecting the state of play, and now they're actually caught between two friendly flags, which should mean that they are going to be surrounded imminently. That puts them out of position. As powerful as they might think they are, all we have to do is really just kill one of them, and their power is lost. All their strength comes in their numbers. Here I'm committing probably a little bit too hard, but I used the mountain as cover to escape after putting the damage on that LAV. And the reason I committed the way I did was I noticed that LAV was surrounded by infantry, and the probability was that he'd already taken a few hits. So I figured I'd stick around. If I couldn't kill him, I'd at least really soften him up for the guys on the ground. Again, gonna go for this little motorbike here, get one kill, put a bit of damage on this guy with the cannon, suppress him as well, just harasses him a little bit, keeps him unfocused while he's trying to fight the infantry on the ground. That AA is pinging off active radars at me, I think, or maybe even passives. Yeah, I think that was a passive. And now the enemy jet's on my 6, which is bad timing, so I do need to pay more attention to the air radar on this game. There's actually a second jet coming for me as well, but luckily my ECM's back up. I can kite his passive. And here, the enemy jets really utilize their teamwork. They know I can't chase after both of them at the same time, and there's no way for me to apply pressure to both of them at once. And I should have left the fight, and I paid the price. So in that situation there, what I should have done was actually give up on the engagement, get low to the ground, just lose them, and turn it into a 1v1, divert or separate their forces and divide and conquer. But instead I thought I would try my best to keep on both of their tails at the same time, but I just couldn't close the gap. Here though I get some little bit of revenge on one of them, just get him out of the sky and continue trying to help the team. So that LAV down there is way out of position. There is a chopper coming to support him though, and he does have his buddy next to him, so... But luckily one of those LAVs just got taken out and I just mobility hit the other one. The bomber is looking to drop bombs on him. This is a very good situation for us. We have the majority flags on the map. That tank is getting pummeled right now, and I secure the destroy on the vehicle, and that essentially nullifies the force of that armored column on that avenue of the map. That opens up that whole side of the map for our tanks, our infantry to move, cap those flags down the hill. Right now I'm just looking for guys on the ground. Pop my ECM a bit early there because of the passive radars that were being shot at me earlier in the game. I don't really want to run the risk of it. Trying to spot things with my rear cam. You can spot quite far away if you line the cockpit up with something, even little infantry on the ground. Quite a useful exploit in terms of just helping the team out by giving them information on the location of enemies, as well as helping yourself out. Like right now I'm trying to hit this guy on the ground. I wouldn't have been able to see him without using my laser guided missile camera. And here I'm trying to spot him again, but no luck. I do spot the AA however, but he's not very capable. He's not been hitting me, so I'm not terribly worried. I'll just keep in mind that he's there and show him my the smallest part of my profile wherever possible. He does surprise me there though. He starts getting a few good hits on, and a lock starts locking onto me, so I ECM, get some distance, wait for my ECM to come off cooldown, and let my jet regenerate health a little bit. So I'm just looking around the map now, trying to spot enemy targets on the ground, also using the big map as well to have a look for them. I'm just going to get some distance from this enemy jet. He's coming in pretty hot, but he does disengage and looks to run away, so I'm going to punish him for that. Here you can see me actually yawing after him, and the reason I'm yawing and not rolling and then pitching is because I don't actually want to be in a position where I'm sideways on the map and pitching towards that mountain. I'd actually prefer to maintain my elevation and yaw, and because I had such a long range, it didn't matter that my yaw was so slow. I could, in fact it was actually a little bit more useful because it's a very slow way to maneuver. It's a very controlled way to adjust my aim. So here there's quite a large column of tanks. I'm just going to put as much pressure on as I can. I'm even going to use the cannons a little bit here to soften them up. Just really, make them feel like there's twice as many tanks and twice as many infantry on the ground. The enemy jet's on my 6. I didn't notice on the radar because I was so busy with those tanks, but he's not aware of me either. He's running for cover. Likely took a bit of damage, so I'm just going to let him go. I don't want to fight him over his AA. I am, however, going to keep tabs on him. He is the biggest threat to me right now, even more so than the AA. And you see there, I just rolled to correct my profile visibility against any AA on the ground. Here I'm trying to get some long range damage in. Go for a bit of a burst, let the guns cool down, and just sit on his 6 here. I am keeping in mind that the enemy AA could shoot at me at any time, so I do have my finger hovering over the countermeasures ready to go. And I spotted him there. He's on the hillside road, but I'm not going to bother with him. He's not been shooting at me, and honestly, when there's 2 AAs on the map, it's actually better to leave an AA alive if somebody is in it that isn't very aware and they're not shooting at you. Unless they're punishing the rest of your team, it's not worth dealing with them. You don't want a situation where you kill the anti-aircraft tank and then a much better anti-aircraft tank user gets in it because you got rid of the person that was in it. Again, I get snuck up on, not paying attention to the radar. That's a common theme in this game here, in this match. But I do manage to outswitch this jet, and he's not trying to maneuver, he's just running for cover. Unfortunately, he runs right towards our team and gets completely wiped out. I was taking a lock there, which is a little bit concerning. That means there's something pretty close to our deployment locking me, which means I have to fly further and further away now. I do see a tow missile come out of that LAV, and it's got me a little bit worried, so I'm going to put some damage on him. It's unlikely his turret could get the correct elevation to be able to hit me from my angle swooping in on him, but I didn't want to run the risk anyway of being towed. So I'm having a quick gaze at the map, just going to fly back through, scan the grounds for infantry. I notice this flag's being contested, so I do a little bit to help out there, try and spot some players, and I'm actually going to swoop back around in a second here and double check that there's no more infantry hiding anywhere. Just so that the team knows for certain that they can move on, because we actually have a large concentration of ground forces there. We have 2 tanks on the area with a 3rd nearby. I want them to know it's safe and they can move on. So right there I misidentified the enemy bomber as a stealth jet based on the icon and the distance. I couldn't really tell it was a bomber, and the reason I ECM'd was I was being locked onto. I didn't realize it's actually a PLD in the shed down at the flag at the bottom of the hill, so I was a little bit precautious there when I didn't need to be. Right here I laser faked out the LAV. Unfortunately I made the mistake of opening up my broadside to the AA, and I did take a fair bit of damage, 55 HP there, which isn't great, so I'm going to keep some distance here, wait for the health to regenerate, and see what I can do to keep helping out the team. I'm noticing we're losing our grip on the map. More and more flags are becoming contested or controlled by the opposition, so I'm going to do my best to spot troops that are on our flags and try and keep tabs on the AA and every other asset, just so our team knows where they are and hopefully can position themselves accordingly to front up against the deadliest threats. So here I can see this little car's going for a flank. I commit to it because I don't want our team to get flanked, but unfortunately I do pay the price with the AA shooting at me there. Drop down onto the motorbike, and I don't really want to waste this life. I mean, we still have quite a lot of tickets left, but it's probably better to try and use a life for something productive instead of just redeploying and waiting in the loading screen for a new jet. So I'm going to try drive to D here, see if I can do anything at all to help out the guys on the ground, since I'm now one of those guys on the ground. You can see on the map there's quite a few dudes. The little triangles are different sizes and shades, which indicates their elevation. And I should have paid a bit more attention to the map, because unfortunately as soon as I arrive I get put down from a guy who came down the stairs, and you actually could see him on the map with his little triangle as being at an elevated position, so likely he was on those stairs for a while or on the 2nd floor, which is something I should have kept in mind on my approach. But now we're just going to wait for the next jet, and in the meantime I'm just going to talk about how to survive in general in these Chinese and Russian jets. In the American jet, the F-35, it's extremely easy to, survive against base AA. Even regular AA, it's really quite difficult to hit the F-35. It's a very nimble aircraft. It has the smallest profile overall. Very, very hard to track, as opposed to the Su-50, the Russian stealth jet, and the J-20, the Chinese stealth jet. They're exceptionally easy to hit, especially if you open up that broadside. So really, if you're looking to maintain survivability, keep tabs on the AA and don't show it your broadside. Don't get close to the enemy's deployment at any point, because you never know who's looking at you. There might be a sniper who has a look at you through his scope at 1400 meters away and spots you right as you're on top of the enemy deployment. Here I'm a little bit fixated on that target. I don't see that jet sneak up on me, but I do maneuver to get behind him. I'm taking a lot of fire here from an AA, and I actually go down. That's something I didn't expect. So that AA is right near our deployment. He was ready for me, and I was not aware at all. So it really does matter how much effort you go to keep tabs on the AA, and it also goes to show how quickly you can be killed if you open up your broadside. Just here, I'm getting a little bit fed up of getting taken out by tanks and AA, so I'm going to do my best to take a few of them out. And you can see my positioning here. I see that there's 2 LAVs, but I actually position myself to force it to be a one-on-one between both of them. So I zone out that 2nd LAV so he can't see me. Now I'm going in for him. He's already being hit by the helicopter, and I secured the kill. So really, dividing and conquering is how you have the greatest impact on the battlefield. Try and prevent those one-on-one, those two-on-one or three-on-one confrontations rather. So this was a column of 3 tanks and 2 LAVs and an AA, but I turned it into a one-on-one-on-one. Unfortunately, I did die there, but I didn't bail out, even though I knew I was going to die in the LAV. The last thing I wanted is to bail out of my tank and have the enemy steal it, and then I get killed, because then they'd have an asset from our team that we can't get back unless we blow it up. So if you're in a vehicle, you know it's going down, but there's enemies all around you, just go down with the vehicle. Don't get out and try and repair or shoot the infantry that's attacking you on the ground. There's a really good chance that the enemy's going to punish you for that. They're going to steal your tank, repair it, and guard it at the back of the map and hold on to it. And like in the last game, I was talking about stealing jets. Stealing tanks has the same strong impact on the balance of the game. It deprives the enemy team of an extra tank, an extra asset, and it gives your team an extra asset. So it's a double whammy for the victim. They lose a tank, so they lose the capability of a tank, and the enemy team now has an extra tank, so it's twice the magnitude of the issue. Here I'm just taking out this jet, just getting him off the map. I do manage to get a little roadkill on him. Not sure if he was bailing or going for a rendezvous. I see the other jet. Sort of bit of a moral dilemma here. I had a really easy shot on him, but he just spawned. He was already getting pummeled by the AA. I decided not to shoot. I'm not the best pilot in the world, but there's a lot of newer players on Battlefield recently, and I think it's really important to encourage, you know, less toxic gameplay. So if I have all the advantage and I'm cheesing him by having, you know, I just so happened to be where he spawned and I could have killed him, but I decided not to. I don't want to ruin that player's experience of being in the jets, because he might never get in the jets again. He might just stick on the ground forever, or, you know, he might not even play the game anymore. And I don't want that to happen. You know, the more players there are, the more fun it is for everyone. So anyway, just taking out that bomber up there, just trying my best to prevent him dropping his ordnance on the team. We're starting to get to a bit of a crunch point now. The enemy does have considerable control over the map, so I'm going to do my best to defend the flags we have left, put pressure on the infantry on the ground, try and spot them up for the team, just do whatever I can to help us get over the line, because we still have double the tickets to the enemy, but this game can definitely turn on you if you get blasé about the flags. Just there was a nice little laser fake out, really whipped it on him with the first laser guided missile. So in terms of laser fake outs and in the efficacy of them, you typically want to let the laser sail over your target and then whip it back around, because that's when it's its most maneuverable, if it's coming back to the target. If you whip it and it's still on the way, like it hasn't passed the target yet, it won't whip as violently and as quickly. Just here I'm spotting a lot of infantry on the hilltop. I see an AA mine down there, I'm going for it, but unfortunately my laser gets distracted, so I give up on that. I'm just going to try and punish these little dudes on the mountaintop. They could be sniping or lasing, or worse, you know, rocketing my team down there. So it's a good idea just to keep some pressure on them, take some pressure off the team. Enemy jet was positioning himself quite well for a sneak attack. I wasn't ready for it, but I did manage to outmaneuver him quickly enough to put some damage on him and survive the situation. You notice there I was being locked onto, not by the jet, but by something else. Not sure what it was, but I used that mountain as cover, so I let the lock onto me for just long enough that maybe they could shoot, and then I would fly under the mountain if they did manage to get a rocket off. Here's a little bit more target fixation. I was paying attention to the AA mine and not the air radar. That jet very easily could have rammed me, or you know, actually gotten on my 6 and killed me. Fortunately for me, he doesn't seem terribly interested in that. I'm being really greedy here, so I've opened up my broadside to the AA. I've flown near his base AA, and now I'm being locked onto. Luckily my ECM comes off cooldown, but I still take a hit there. It's not great. So right now I'm immobilized. I can't position myself very well against the enemy AA, and I have no countermeasures high in the sky. If you have no countermeasures and you're being hit by active radars, or even passive radars, what you can do is actually get really close to the ground. The active and passive radars can't actually lock onto you if you're very close to the ground. So what I should have done in that situation there, I didn't do it because I was expecting there's no way anyone could hit me from that range, but what I probably should have done was get really close to the ground, just stay off the radar, prevent any more lock-ons from getting me. Well, passive radars or active radars. At this point, our team did manage to clutch up and cap quite a few flags. I couldn't really help them that much with that process because I was dealing with aircraft for quite a long time. But now I'm going to try my best to get in some extra damage, put in a little bit more work, drain the tickets a little bit faster of the enemy team, and just close out the game. So just looking around, a few more troops. I can see a few tracer rounds coming in from gunners. They're all around the place, but the game's about to end, so not much I can do. Alright, thanks for watching. Discussed a little bit more about tactics and how to beat opposition that have greater numbers and greater firepower by dividing and conquering. I'll see you in the next one.